Welcome, everybody. This is CertaPay's coffee break number 25, the last one of the year. And we are going to go over the starting year checklist for 2021, how to get you guys off on the right foot, things to think about and things to do. I am your host, Rachel Camella, and I'm here with another fantastic member of CertaPay's HR team, Cindy Merkel. She is our moderator, and I do see some other CertaPay folks on the list, and everybody else here this morning. We're really glad you're joining us, so thank you for being here, and let's get started. Cindy, you ready?
Yep.
So as I said, this is a checklist, so we're not going to drill down to specific details on some of this content, but more of a list for you to write down the items that apply to you, and then you can go back and go over the information and see what you need to do. As always, we are here for you. We are here to help you. So if there's anything on this list you're not sure about or you need help with, please reach out to us anytime. We'd be glad to work with you on these things. And this is a continuation. Last coffee break, we talked about some of the things you want to finish up the year with. So we talked about payroll and tax issues. We talked about benefits and things you want to consider about wrapping up the year of benefits, and then compliance issues and some general HR cleanup. And so now we're going to roll into what do you want to do to get ready for the next year? And I had this slide at the beginning, and then I put it toward the end, and I moved it back to the beginning because I think this is a great way to start your year and get your head clear and ready for the things you want to do in 2021. And make your own list of goals. What are your strategic business goals for the year? Specifically, what goals you want to accomplish in the world of human resources. And one of the things that we're looking at, because 2020 was really kind of a punch in the gut for a lot of us, put that aside, clear your mind, and let's let HR be the leader for 2021 instead of the way we were so reactionary and just treading water and keeping up with what was changing on a daily basis. Let's put HR in the front. Let's be proactive and let HR lead the way through this year. One of the ways to do that, of course, is think about the health and wellness of your employees. Put the health and wellness of your team and your people first, and that will help with reaching any goals you have for the year. Flexibility is always important. And when, we've been talking about moving to a remote workforce for the last several years, and it got pushed on us in the, March of 2020. And so now it's something that we kind of are really getting used to. So be flexible in terms of scheduling and continuing a remote workforce, continuing with using technology to accomplish your goals, and adopt those kinds of technology flexible components that will make you stronger. Employee training is an important piece, but also retraining. Like I said, the remote shift has been something that a lot of us have had to really adjust to. So you may have some components that you have to go back over and say, we used to do it like this, but now we're going to do it like this for 2021 and beyond. And so retraining may be something you want to think about. But employee training in general, think about things that you want to add. A lot of states have some new minimum requirements for employee training. You have some COVID safety training that will be required in a lot of different states. Harassment awareness training, of course, is in almost all of the states at this point. And so there are a lot of training requirements that you really want to kind of think about. We're going to talk about that a little bit more in a bit. But think about your goals for the year and what that training needs to look like for you. Organizational design. This is something that may have gotten tossed up in the air. What did your structure look like before? And did you make changes to your org structure? And how can you restructure your company's org design to match your goals for the year? Do you have to redo some job descriptions? Did you change who reports to who? Have you added layers of management or removed layers of management and shifted the reporting structure? Really take a good look at your org design and see if it lines up with the goals that you established this year. Now is a great time to add a mentoring program. Without talking about COVID as an issue or pandemic as an issue, the mentoring component that we want to add right now is in place because of the shift in our generations. So we're seeing our entire millennial workforce is getting older, but we've got our the baby boomers are almost all out. Our Gen Xers are getting older. Grab those Gen Xers and the last of the baby boomers before they go and pair them up with your younger millennials and certainly with your next generation coming in, if we're going to be calling them the iGens. Again, another great coffee break topic coming soon is going to be the generations we're working with. But add a mentoring program. You know, this is the time you want to capitalize on that corporate memory and all the information that your senior leaders have and pair them with your new rock stars coming in. So take a look at that. Maybe that's something you want to put on your goals list for this year. How are we doing, guys? Any questions?
Not so far, Rachel. Keep going.
All right. So specifically talking about some schedules. So at the beginning of the year, now's a great time, put together a full payroll schedule. Your employees want to know, what day do I get paid? What date does that fall on? Where do my bills fall? And especially right now, you know, money is tight for a lot of people. So they're looking to see what date does my check come in versus when is my mortgage or rent payment due. So put together an entire payroll schedule for the year and provide that to employees. It's good information. Trust me, they want to know. They're asking. They're going to make their own calendar. So if you put one out that's pretty, here's the payroll schedule for the year, it's something that employees really appreciate. Same thing is creating a holiday schedule for the year. These are dates that people plan around and they want to know. They're going to say, well, when is Labor Day? When is Memorial Day? What are these dates? You know, what are the holidays that your company offers? Put together a holiday paid day off schedule and provide that to the employees. They're going to be using this to make plans this year, rest assured. And if people were not able to take time off for whatever reason in 2020, they're really going to be looking forward to the days off that occur in 2021. So be mindful of that and provide that information for people. So to our training schedules, as I mentioned before, put that if you can create schedules early in the year and let people know these are the training dates that we're going to have, or at least provide it to the people for which it applies, that would be a good thing to do. If you have certain trainings available once a month or every Monday or the first Tuesday of the month, whatever it is, create a schedule that people can plan around and follow. It's a good thing to do. Again, in the interest of being proactive in 2021 and instead of being reactionary, having things and information ahead of time for the employees is a great way to show them that HR is in control and their best interest is taken into account. And with your schedules, also think about your vendor contracts. So did they expire at the end of the year? Do they expire first quarter? Take a look at any vendor contracts you have and what the renewal dates are. Are they on an auto renewal platform? Do you want to negotiate some payment changes or some coverage changes? Now's a great time. Go over those contracts, make a phone call, even if they're not up yet, but maybe coming due, make a quick phone call and just make that touch. Make sure that vendor is going to meet what your goals are for the year. All right, so talking about your people, we know this is the most important part of your business. We know that you don't function without the people you have. So put some energy into it. Now you've created your goals for the year, taking your people into consideration. You're working on your schedules to give everybody information. Let's drill down to some of these things with your folks. So the hiring process and the termination process, the beginning of the year is always a good time to go over that information. If there have been any state laws that apply to you, changes that you want to add language, remove language, clean up language. But more importantly, look at the actual process. What happens with your hiring process? What is the interview schedule? How do you look to the candidates who are going through your hiring process? Take a close look at that and see if it's something you want to make some changes to this year. Same thing on the termination process. Make sure you have a very clean process. Your documentation is taken care of. Materials are returned, whatever it is. Do you have a termination exit interview process where you figure out why? I mean, and I get it. I know a lot of times terminations are a little bit contentious and maybe somebody throws the keys and walks out. I mean, the exit interview is simple. I'm leaving because I hate it here. You don't really need an exit interview there. It's more important to have an exit interview with somebody who gives you a notice, because then why they're leaving is important to you. So pay attention to your process and see if you want to make some changes there. Again, think about matching your goals for the year. And the other thing about the hiring process and the termination process is train your managers. Any managers who will be involved in these two processes, you want to make sure they understand how you want those to go. So have some training, make sure your managers are going to follow your procedure for both hiring and termination. It's a good way to keep everybody on the same page. Performance management. So not to be confused with performance improvement plans, but performance management. Take a look at this process. How do you go through your performance management strategies? Do you have a plan? Do you have a schedule? Do you have a process? Another great thing to think about in terms of your goals and your people. Make sure you have a process that makes sense and something that aligns with your strategic goals for the year. Succession planning. And, when we talk about adding a mentor program, it's the same kind of thing. Having a plan for development for individual people is a great way to keep your employees. When we talk about retention and how costly turnover can be, when you have a succession plan in place, you're really telling the employees, we're investing in you, we believe in you, we have this plan to make you better and stronger and keep you on this growth path. It's a great way to keep people. If you have succession plans in place and a program to keep looking at which seat on the bus are my people, then it really tells the people the same thing. You care about them, you're invested in them, you want them to stay. If people stay, then you save a lot of money. And department needs. Go to each department and ask them, what is on your wish list for HR this year? What would you like us to help you with in terms of HR? What can we do to help your individual department meet the needs that meet the goals that you've established for the year? If departments have goals and they align with the company goals, then everybody is reaching the goals that you've established for 2021. So break it down. Go to each department and say, or maybe it's you. Maybe as the business owner, you've got each department broken down in front of you and you're like, okay, for this department, here's what we want to happen. Think in terms of HR for those goals. And that can help you. If you break it down to that level, that will help you reach them. And finally, when we talk about people, we almost always have to talk about turnover and retention. And take a quick look at 2020 and see if you can calculate your turnover rate. And then look at, for 2021, look at establishing a number where you want to improve. If that rate is higher than, say, 24, 25%, then you want to look at steps you can take in 2021 that will help reduce that turnover number. And I always talk about turnover in terms of, you never want turnover gone completely, because that means you've got some stagnation happening. You always want fresh eyes and fresh ideas and ways to get new information in. So a little bit of turnover is okay. But once you get above certain numbers, you're talking about too much, and that in turn is dollars that are going out the door. So take a look at your turnover and use that number to create your goal for what that should be in 2021. How we doing?
Keep going. We're good.
All right. So finally, let's talk about money. And again, when you talk about HR, if you break it down to you have your budget buckets for the year, put all of the HR things in one bucket. Look at your compensation, total compensation. So salaries, tax dollars, bonus dollars, anything that goes into compensation number. Your benefits, insurance, healthcare, life coverage, whatever you have in the benefits category. Think about overtime. How much money do you typically allot for overtime that may occur in the year? Is that a number you want to be careful about or look to reducing? Any matching dollar amount that you contribute toward retirement plans. Think about how much money you want to spend on training and development, and keep in mind you have mandatory training for the year. So how much is that going to cost? Factor that into your overall budget number. And then that recruiting number to, your turnover number is going to have some, you're going to definitely have some natural attrition, positions that you have to fill. Make sure you have some dollars in your recruiting bucket and put all of these together to figure out what your budget is. And then use this, take your budget and look at what your goals are for the year and see, are there numbers you need to massage? Are there goals that you need to change based on how much money you have to spend? And when we have a difficult year like 2020, I know that budgets really got strained. So as you think about 2021, factor in some room for adjustment, because we may have changes coming again and we want to be prepared for that. So create a little bit of a cushion in your budget this year just in case. And then if you end up with excess at the end of the year, we'll have a good coffee break on how to spend that money. Any questions, guys? So final thoughts. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Cindy. So final thoughts, put together your schedules, think about your people, make it a year where the HR thought leadership is guiding your way, and put your people first. And that will help you be as strong as you can possibly be. Let your goals get you through the year, and you will be a shining star and have a fantastic business for 2021. Any questions, any thoughts, any issues?
Now's your chance, folks. We can unmute you if that would help.
All right. Well, Cindy, any final thoughts for you?
No, you pretty much hit on everything that I wanted to, that I thought of as well. So we are good.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us on these coffee breaks. It has been a fantastic year to do this with you and go through this with you. I feel like we've all learned a lot, and we've really figured out how to think on our feet and adjust quickly with laws that changed overnight. And so now we're going to be really strong in 2021. We're going to start off the year on January 7th with our coffee break series, and we're going to talk about the employee life cycle. So we'll be starting with things like the applicant process and the onboarding process and new hires and training and all kinds of good stuff. So we look forward to you joining us in January for the employee life cycle and beyond. And any topics that you want to hear, send them in to us. We will create a coffee break special for those topics. So thanks again to all of you. It has been a pleasure working with you. Yeah.
Rachel, just one final thought, just because it's a constant thing for me the past few days. Everybody, please keep in mind that the FFCRA and COVID pay, that all ends on the 31st. So if you have someone that goes out in the next week or so, they might not have received all of their 80 hours. It might only be 32 hours. Well, that money stops and goes away on the 31st, no matter where they are in the process of the leave. I just want everybody to be mindful of that.
Yeah, thanks, Cindy. That's such a good point to bring up. So, just to kind of say it again, the FFCRA paid leave guidelines end with the end of the calendar year. So if you, just like Cindy's example, if you've got somebody who is out with a COVID-related paid leave situation under FFCRA, then the tax reimbursement for that pay will end on December 31st. Now, what that means is you can still pay them if you want to. You just can't claim the tax credit. We do anticipate some changes. We do anticipate having some kind of stimulus in place that will cover the gap, but it isn't in place yet. So at this point, any FFCRA paid leave tax reimbursement will not apply starting January 1. Such a great point. Thank you, Cindy, for bringing that up, because I think that's important to know.
You have a couple of questions.
Rachel,
Okay.
Tammy had a question. Their pay period ends on the 31st, but the pay date is the 8th. Tammy, it doesn't matter. As long as they're paid the check date is irrelevant. It would be the last pay. So if your pay period ended on the 31st and they worked on the 31st, they would be paid through that day. The check date would be irrelevant. It would be the day they worked.
Yeah, it's the actual date that they are out on FFCRA that applies.
All right.
And yes, if we get any changes or information or updates, we'll make sure we get it out to you guys for sure. Again, thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to having you with us at the beginning of the year for all of our coffee breaks. And SertaPay appreciates you. We appreciate your business, and we appreciate working with you and spending time with you. All right, guys, have a wonderful day. Thank you.